So when we talk about population dynamics, we're actually talking about how the numbers of organisms in a population change over time. There's four primary factors in determining this: births, deaths, immigration, and emigration. Births and immigration both increase the numbers of organisms in a population, while deaths and emigration decrease. So let's consider a population of lizards that live here out in front of my house. This is a green anole, and I probably have 10-15 of them living here in the bushes in front of my house. This constitutes a population, right? It's one species. There's probably a couple of other lizards that may live in here, but for sake of population dynamics, we'll think about this being one species of lizard that lives here. And if we think of this in terms of a metapopulation, this is my lizards, right? They're a population that lives around my house. Now there are other houses that have bushes in their yard, and there is a cost to the lizard from going from one house to the other. It's a pretty big expanse, right? And they would have to run across bare ground, and they'd be really easily picked off by birds. So this population is somewhat isolated, right? So it's more connected to the house next door, and even houses down the street. And we could even see where there is a harder barrier out here. You know, you don't want to be a lizard running across the road, right? So these represent different barriers and different populations, some being more connected than others. Now let's take in consideration if I may have really good resources. I may have a lot of insects for them in front of my house. We may have really a type of bush that they really enjoy, and they can hide from things like cats and things like that may eat them. Now they may reproduce and have a lot of offspring, and perhaps those offspring may be the ones that go to the neighbor's house and lives in their front yard, but they may not have all of the resources that are available in my yard. In that case, my population of anoles would be a source population, and theirs would be a sink, particularly if theirs isn't producing any other animals. In terms of population dynamics, you remember we have our four things that go into it. We have birth rate, death rate, immigration, and emigration. Immigration with an I, meaning that they come in. Immigration with an E, meaning that they move out. And what we would see in this case is, let's say one of the lizards from down the road away shows up in my population. That actually brought new genetic material into my population of anoles. Okay, so that would be an immigrant that's enriching the genetic makeup of my population, and that would be some level of connectivity, right? So let's say that I may have the same thing happen, where I may have a male or some females, or they may get on the car and go down the road and get back off the car, be transferred some way, and that would be immigration with an E, and that would mean that they're leaving, and they would go to another population and actually enrich that genetic variation, or the genetic variation of that population. So here in the suburbs of North Texas, we have a nice little model for population dynamics with these cool little lizards. So the number of anoles I can expect to have in my front yard next year will be equal to the number I have this year, plus the number of those that have hatched, minus the number who have died, plus the number that immigrated from other populations, minus the ones that left and immigrated to other populations. So that is the population dynamics of the lizards that live in my front yard.